Good morning. My desk is a hot mess, but try to just focus on what's here on the tray. Some of you have asked how I made these fabric feathers. It's really easy. You just get a cut of denim and you pull the strings. I think they're really cool and they're pretty easy. One about this size maybe takes 15 minutes to pull the threads. This process does generate a lot of lint. Maybe cover up with the plastic sheet. I don't know. For the purpose of this demonstration, I created a couple of templates in feather shapes. This is not necessary. You can just cut the feathers any size or shape that you like. Personal preference. Feathers, gray or indigo, dark blue. Depends on the way that you lay them down on your fabric. If you want dark colored feathers, you lay them so that you would pull the white threads off the denim. If you want a lighter colored feather, you lay your orientation so that you pull the black threads. And it's as easy as that. But before you pull the threads, you have to create a spine for the feather. And I'll show you that right now. So I've drawn my pattern on my fabric and I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. Throw those scraps and strings away. So to create the spine, I take a piece of waxed thread that I use for bookbinding and run it from end to end and leave at least an inch, inch and a half on each end of the feather and cut it off. Next, because it's hard for me to hold this in place and sew it, I put a bead of glue that runs from tip to tip. And you can kind of angle it a little bit if you like, you know, because leaves aren't perfectly straight. Feathers, I mean. These actually could be done as leaf shapes as well. And then you take and you place your thread along the glue. You want to make sure it runs right to the tip, because when you sew this you want it to be, you don't want glue over here. So don't get any glue over here. Make it a little harder. But just take and kind of spread that out and let it dry. I don't have a fancy sewing machine, but I used sort of a medium-size zigzag stitch along the spine, encasing the thread so it's been glued down, and then we've stitched over the top of it. The next part is the little bit of it, can be tedious, but you start pulling your threads. You just find where the thread will pull, and you pull it off. As you can see, we're pulling light colored threads on this one. And once you get it started, you can usually, it's easiest if you get to the outside edge. And then you can pull it off. And it should just pull right out. And then you go up a little bit higher and you find the next one. The next loose thread. Maybe come from this side. You can see it a little bit better on the lighter side, and pull the thread. And then just pull it straight through. Now, as you can see, we're going to have a dark colored feather here because we're pulling the white strings. And you keep doing this until you get as close to the spine as you want. Eventually get to a point like this. Now I kind of like this wider spine. I could take and pull some more out of here. And I might come back and do that later. I'm not going to do it right now. if you do want to get closer to the spine, you're going to have to use some sort of a cutting instrument. And what I typically will do is I'll come down here where I want to start pulling the threads. And I'll break it out and I'll cut it. And I will pull it a little bit to get it started. Okay, this one's going to be a little difficult. Okay, there you go. And then you can grab the end and you can pull it through. So if you want to get closer to the spine, you'll need to use some sort of a knife, seam ripper or something like that to cut the thread and pull it out. So here's this one. So you can see how it shapes the spine. I actually kind of like this one. It's pulled pretty close here, but it left more, it's more of a pattern on this side. So if you're interested in more of a pattern, and you just keep going, and you just keep making these as long as you feel like sitting and watching television and pulling threads. This is a couple of hours work in total. I hope you enjoyed this instructional video, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.